friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster. And today we're revisiting one of my favorite topics, which is, of course, spiritualism.
Hey!
And welcome back to Mediumship with Midge.
Hell yeah, always a good time.
But, Penny, I am particularly excited about this one because even as our resident skeptic, you have got some skin in this game on this episode. And I have a feeling you're going to know immediately why. We're going to be talking today about Mina Margery Crandon. Does that mean something to you?
I'm struggling to place it.
You know why? Yeah,
familiar.
you don't know why, but you know.
I do.
Well, you will know soon. But before we get into like who she is, she's a medium. I mean, that's
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We're talking about a medium, not a large. But before all of her mediumship shenanery, Mina was born Mina Stenson in 1888 in Ontario, Canada. And she was the youngest of 6 children and had a very close relationship to her eldest brother, Walter, who, this is important for later, he was a railway worker who died in 1911 at age of 28 because a freight wagon toppled off the tracks and crushed him.
That's right, buddy.
It was, yeah. And of course, you know, this is a time frame where a lot of people had people dying, but Mina had this special connection to her past brother Walter. That'll be, I'll put a pin in that. But at 17, Mina leaves Canada and moves to Boston, which, as we know, was a big spiritualism hub. But she lives a pretty normal life at first. She marries a grocer named Earl Rand, and they're married for quite a while. They have one son in 1913, and she's living a pretty, like, straightforward woman in the early 1900s life. Until she crosses paths with Dr. Leroy Crandon. And she was working at the time as a volunteer ambulance driver at the Navy hospital. And Crandon was a surgeon at this hospital. He's like a really renowned surgeon in Boston. And he is 14 years her senior. Mm-hmm. And they catch feelings. And so Mina files for divorce from Earl Rand in 1918. And later that year becomes Crandon's third wife.
All right.
And from this point forward, Mina is living La Vida Loca. And also, I mean, just from the get-go here, I was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, she filed for divorce. That's kind of crazy. In like 1918. I didn't actually even think that I knew women were able to do that on their own volition. Anyway, but so Mina and her husband, Crandon, Dr. Crandon, he kind of, even though he's a man of medicine and science, he kind of has this fascination with mortality and almost like a bit of an unhealthy obsession with it. And so it is kind of said that Mina leans into spiritualism with him to kind of help him deal with this almost anxiety of mortality. Of course, he's quite a bit older than her as well. But so they kind of, as a couple's hobby, start holding seances at their home. Again, not uncommon for wealthy people of this time period. But what starts as kind of a, fun little table tipping party with their friends very quickly turns into something pretty wild. Because Mina let's say, has a gift for showmanship. And so they start getting fancier and fancier with what they're doing at these seances, to the point that Leroy, I don't know if it's Leroy or Leroy, because it's spelled L-E space R-O-I.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, that looks like Leroy to me.
It does look like Leroy.
I'm going to call him Leroy, and if that's wrong, sorry.
We just made him extra fancy then.
Yeah, but I'm like, I can't call him Crandon because she's also Crandon.
Yeah.
So he ends up submitting her name to a contest being offered by Scientific American magazine. To win a prize is being offered to any medium who can demonstrate their ability under scientific control. Mm-hmm. And her husband is like, yeah, we can do it. And Mina, she's married to a renowned surgeon. She's running in like Ivy League groups with people at Harvard and lots of credible names that back what she's doing. And she also gains the support of a resident guy that comes around here on the pod frequently, Arthur Conan Doyle.
Hey, Arthur.
Famously a big fan of spiritualism.
True. Big believer in everything.
Yeah, he wants to believe. And he is one of Mina's like ride or dies. He really believes that she is the real deal. So with all this support, Scientific American is like, okay, we will come investigate Mina and find out what her deal is. So there's a judging committee of her abilities, and it consisted of the following people. William McDougall, who is a professor of psychology from Harvard. Walter Franklin Prince, who I believe we talked about on the Jeff the Mongoose episode, because he is the head of the American Psychical Research Association, or what have you. Daniel Frost Comstock, who is a physicist and engineer, and just as a side fun fact, is also the person who introduced Technicolor to film.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Comstock. And then Hereward Carrington, who was an amateur magician, as well as a manager for a famous Italian medium, so he kind of knew some of the ins and outs. Mm-hmm. And then last, but certainly not least, the last member of this committee is one Harry Houdini.
Yes. I'm like, it's got to be my man.
It's your man. He is here, and he is pissed.
Always.
So, and Harry, I couldn't get like a definitive timeline of when he becomes a part of the committee, but from the several different iterations of this story, it seems that basically what happened was that someone who worked at Scientific American let slip to Houdini that most of the people on this committee thought that she was the real deal and she was probably going to win this cash prize for being a medium. And he did not like that.
Yes.
And he was like, I too will be on this committee. And he spends the next several years working absolute overtime to expose her as a fraud. So the proceedings begin by Harry and the rest of the committee members attending several seances at Mina and Leroy's home over the months of like June through August of 1924. And also, I don't know why I didn't write this in my notes. Important to mention here that Mina begins going by the stage name Margery the Medium at this point. So she is no longer Mina Crandon to the public. So they attend several seances. Most of them are like completely bought in to what she's doing. Houdini, of course, is not. And they put her through several different tests. I do think it's very funny because from what I was reading and my understanding, Houdini is really the one who ends up testing her. So most of these people involved with Scientific American who are like, we'll give it to you as long as you can prove that you can do it scientifically, didn't really question her
Yeah.
hardly at all. And I think had it not been for Houdini, they probably just would have given her the money.
Yeah.
Really fascinating how all of them
Come
were
on,
like,
guys. Where's the science?
seems cool, seems legit.
Right.
Now, to be fair, we'll get into some of what she's doing in these seances. It is not your typical like mushroom salad situation. She's got tricks.
All right. She didn't
but-
give anybody any special juice beforehand.
No special juices, no special salads, just tons of shenanigans and trickery. You know what? Yeah, maybe do I want to switch this around? Let's switch this around. I'll talk about what she's doing at the seances before I get
Yeah.
into
Tell
to
us
how
what's up.
Houdini's doing things. So her big things that she does that other mediums aren't per se doing is that make her the most credible. Of course, her original initial claim is that she is contacting the spirit of her dead brother, Walter. Remember him?
Walter, yes.
So
Railway accident,
Walter. So that's kind of her initial, like, way that she's saying she's connecting to the spirit world is by her, like, connection to her brother.
Sure.
And she has, this is why I was doing a tee-hee at your last episode with the ventriloquy.
Yes.
Because she's doing voice throwing. She's doing
sure.
tricks with, like, she has a spirit horn that's, like, quote, whispering to her. She produces ectoplasm.
Yes.
This is her big thing. There are a lot of photos of this with her, with this goopy goop coming out of her ears, her nose, her face, and just, you know, but of course they're doing like lights go out, everything's dark.
Yes.
We come back and she's covered in goo.
Ain't that just the way?
I hate when that happens. But one of my favorite stories I read about this was that the word on the street was like, you can't interact with the ectoplasm at all because it will damage, like, if it could harm the medium if you touch the ectoplasm. And I guess during one sitting, a guy was able to kind of like poke at it and kind of see was trying to suss out what the deal was. And of course nothing happened to her. And then he like dictated that to somebody when he left, the like stenographer or whoever was there to take notes about what was going on. He was like, yeah, I touched the ectoplasm and she seemed fine. And she like overheard that and like screamed and fainted and like fell to the ground.
Delayed ectoplasm syndrome.
Yeah, I got that DES. So yeah, but she's covered in all this goop. I have this section labeled feminism ?
Question.
Because Margery is also sometimes referred to as the naked medium.
Oh, yes.
And it was said that her husband had displayed nudes of her in their home.
Ooh,
And that
saucy.
they were kind of like, yeah, that's her. Here it is.
There it is.
And she was apparently quite beautiful. And so there are tellings of her doing many seances sitting in the nude, and she would cover her like chest and things in luminescent powder. So that way then when the lights go off, she's glowing basically in the nude.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah, she's the original rave queen, actually.
Right? I'm like, I'm suddenly interested in this.
Well, and let me tell you, so were they.
Right.
So were
Everyone's
the
like,
men.
everyone's like glowing titties, you say.
You say, suddenly I believe in spirits. Well, and so that's where things get interesting with this committee of men. Because she also, I guess, would like, you know, get like taken by the spirit, and she would be like nude falling into the laps of these sitters. So there are quite a few, I don't know that any of these were confirmed, but quite a few rumors of her having affairs with specifically these men on this Scientific American committee. And it kind of seems like her husband knew about it and was like down to clown.
Right. He's like, get that Scientific American money, babe.
Literally, that's why I was like, feminism, question mark? Yeah. she's kind of like, sister is doing it for herself. So she's doing all these tricks and shenanery. Of course, she's doing the standards, the knocking, the ringing of bells, that kind of stuff. Houdini is not enchanted by glowing titties. He doesn't care. So he comes in and is like, I have some tests for you. The most famous of which being that he puts her in a box.
Yes, as you were describing this and starting to get into it, I'm like, oh, this is the lady that's in the box.
This is the box lady.
I have 100%
on more than one level.
That. Yes.
In more than one way, this is the box lady. So she gets put in, which I found an image of this and it was not what I was picturing. I was literally like, did he bring like the box that they used to saw people in half? Because cool. when I was reading it, the description was like, so that only her head and her hands were accessible. And I was like, oh, so she's in like the magician cabinet. But it's like a sitting cabinet.
Yeah, this is what I always think of whenever they're like steam cabinets that like rich people have, like little like solo saunas, and it looks just like that.
If you've watched the first Halloween Town, when the little ghost gets put in the thing and he sweats his body away, it's similar to that, but
that vibe.
But in 1911, an
antique one,
1924. Sorry. So yeah, Houdini puts the woman in a cabinet. And only her hands and her neck are sticking out, or her head. And then they put a bell on a table in front of her and needed her to ring the bell without being able to access it. Now, there are a few different... They do this test more than one time. She's in the cabinet several times. One time, she is able to ring it, but then... upon inspection, they said that the top of the cabinet had been forced out while the lights were out, I guess. But also, I was like, how?
Yeah. I'm also like, guys, why are you letting them turn the lights out? Like, leave those lights on.
Also that in a big way. But I'm sure there was some kind of like, she's like, the spirits won't come if the lights are on. Yes. They're shy. They're so shy.
So shy.
Then there's also what is... what's the word I'm looking for? Referred to as the ruler incident. And this is a big deal because it ends up kind of becoming a long-standing, like, issue between Houdini and Mina. So during a seance in the cabinet box, she requested to be, like, closed in the sides, so her hands were in the cabinet as well. Like, only her head was out instead of her head and her hands. And the bell was rung. And later, a collapsible ruler was found inside the cabinet. And Houdini was like, oh, okay, well, she, like, used her hands to open up the ruler, put it up through the neck hole, and used it to ring the bell. But then Crandon was like, no... Houdini, you put that in the cabinet to discredit me.
Oh.
And it becomes like a years long thing, where they're like, no, you put it in there. No, you put it in there. And then not years later, like even after she's passed away in 1959, someone wrote that, an author named William Gresham wrote about how he quoted a assistant of Houdini's, Jim Collins, as having said that he chucked the ruler in the box himself and that the boss told him to do it. Specifically, he said, Houdini wanted to fix her good. But then there was no, like... They couldn't find any
how are you going to corroborate that?
Proof that had been said. And then someone else, like a magic historian, was like, oh no, that was Fred Keating, Houdini's like rival magician.
Oh,
Fred
no.
was like the one who said that quote to try to discredit Houdini.
Everybody's discrediting each other all over the place.
It's so funny to me. Like, it's so messy.
Oh my god, such medium and magician beef. Just
I know. Well, and
over.
I just kind of love, there's like a level of like, wow, humans have always been this way.
True.
You know, you see like social media drama and you're like, how did we get here? And you're like, oh no, this is how it's always been.
Yeah. Yep.
Same as it ever was. But long story longer, even with all this proof, Houdini is exposing her left and right. He has one where she's ringing a bell, and he's like, she's using her foot to ring it, and so they put her in a thing that like binds her legs and she can't do it. And, you know, I mean, just thing after thing where he's like, see? And still at the end of the day, most of the board is like, yeah, we're still going to vote that she can do it.
Seems legit, though.
Seems fine. And one of my favorite bits from this is the committee's getting ready to vote, and they're leaning yes. Houdini returned from abroad to be at the vote, to be the one to be like, no, so that they didn't have a unanimous vote to keep her from getting the money.
God, I love it.
He hates her. It's so funny. And he starts putting on shows doing her techniques to like educate the public about what she is doing, not just mediums. Like specifically,
this is for you, Margery.
Yeah, he tagged like at Margery the Medium and was. They also do but she's like also I'm like, she's wicked smart, honestly, because like they do a water test with the voice throwing thing. And they give her a, like, measured amount of water and put it in her mouth and have her hold it. And then do the, you know, have her try to have the voices communicate. And then they have her spit the water back out at the end and make sure it's the same amount of water. And she was, like, able to do it, but she had, like, a test tube down in the cabinet that she was somehow like had the same amount of water and was able to like put it back in her mouth after she swallowed it. Like, the commitment to the fraud is crazy. And again, I'm like, feminism maybe? I don't know. Cause also, of course, when we had this with what's her name? Carolyn Crow?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Catherine?
Something in that vein. But just like, yes, all like Houdini was very he was known for trying to debunk mediums. That's just true. But, you know, there was a special level of care taken to discrediting female spiritualists.
Sure.
And so I kind of love how hard she's clowning on them.
Yeah.
Because let's be clear, even though I do believe there are mediums who can do this, I do not think Margery was doing anything. I don't think Margery had a gift at all, but, well, that's not true. I think she had the gift of the X Factor.
Yes, I'm going to say she had many skills.
Yeah, she had lots of skills. Talking to the dead was not one of them, but she was really doing the most. Her other big, like, trick that she was known for was creating a spirit hand that would reach out onto the table during the seances. It was called the teleplasmic hand. And again, there are photos of this, so we will share this when this episode comes out. But people described it as looking as though it were made of animal tissue or like a trachea sewn into a certain way. And of course, as we've learned, her husband is a surgeon.
Hey.
So there eventually was some tests done, and the hand was found to be like parts of an animal liver. But it's interesting if you look at photos of her summoning this hand, you know, she's holding hands with the people next to her, her hands. And the hand always seems to kind of be coming from her middle, like her midsection, or even kind of like under her dress. And she, like, famously would not wear hose, like pantyhose. And so then there were like rumors that her husband had altered her in some way so that she could hide things inside herself, and then pull them, like, manipulate them, without having to, like, do too much with her hands. And again, I'm just like, things that would not have happened if she was a male in this field. There were some pretty wild claims about her that are loudly sexist. But yeah, of course, the hand is not a spirit hand. It is animal parts. How she was manipulating it, we still don't know. But a weird, interesting trick that I have not seen any other medium perform. The beginning of her downfall, she does not win the Scientific American money, by the way. There is too much back and forth, and she does not win. And the beginning of her end comes with this trick of wax fingerprints. There are these, like, wax casts that have fingerprints on them that are, she is saying, you know, during the seance, the ghosts are coming and, like, touching the wax, and we can see their fingerprints. She's specifically claiming they're the fingerprints of her dead brother Walter. And upon hey, so I don't know if you know this, but fingerprints are extremely scientific and unique to the individual, like, by trade.
I've heard that. I've heard a rumor about that.
And so upon examination, they were found to be the fingerprints of her dentist, who had provided her with the wax and what have you. And this is one of the first really solid, like, oh, she's a fraud moments. And this kind of starts to taper her reputation. Her end of her career comes when, in 1939, her husband falls down the stairs and he passes away from that incident. And she, unfortunately, then goes into a, like, deep depression, struggles heavily with alcoholism through the end of her life, and passes at age 52. Very, very young. But she was really riding high for a long time. As kind of the forefront. And it's really interesting, you know, several people would write, like, articles with pretty hard and fast proof that she was not the real deal, and, like, Scientific American refused to publish them. At one point, the head of that American Psychical Research Association, like, because the Research Association was, like, threatening to debunk her, he left and started a different chapter of that, just to, like, continue to protect her. So people really believed in Margery, or wanted to believe in Margery, or were captivated by those glowing titties. I don't
right, this I mean, I don't know, I feel like this is so, like, it's very, like, Theranos, like, very Elizabeth Holmes, where it's like, men just love to be fooled by a charismatic woman. Truly.
And you know what? Good for her. Good for her. She lived pretty successfully for a long time off of this con. But that is a very abridged story of Mina Crandon, Margery the Medium. There are actually several really interesting books that have been written about her, and I guess maybe because it was, like, the 20s and 30s, as opposed to a lot of times when we're talking about spiritualism, it's like the late 1800s. So there's just a lot more documentation with her than other cases. A lot of photos, a lot of just, like, carefully, and because she was being scientifically studied, there's a lot of very careful, like, notes about what was happening in these seances and things. So it's really interesting. It's a look at spiritualism in a way we don't really get prior to her.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, we probably have Harry to thank for that. That we have all this great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harry.
He's like, if you guys are gonna say you're gonna do a science, I'm gonna make you do some science.
Me, the magician, will make sure that you commit to scientific research. But yeah, I just find her fascinating, and I hope that you all found this interesting. If you would like to see some really cool photos of her, we will share those over on its really cool is a relative term, but she like I said, we've got photos of the spirit hand, we got photos of the wax fingers, we got photos in a box. We got box photos. Okay, we got magician cabinet photos. So yeah, we'll definitely be sure to share those, and you can keep up with us with that over on Instagram at Ghouls Night in Pod. That is also a great place to submit reviews to us. If you cannot leave a rating or a review where you listen, you can always shoot those to us in a direct message, and we will share them here. I believe Penny's got one from Instagram today.
I do. This review comes to us from Ye Old Pumpkin, who says, "My absolute favorite podcast, as Spotify confirmed for this year." As if I needed someone to tell me that. You guys are the best. I am waiting every morning to listen to your cool facts that those crazy Victorians never fail to leave behind. Being half Greek, half Finnish, I was particularly impressed to learn about the Finnish frog coffin rituals.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I immediately got hooked. Now I dread the moment I will catch up with the episodes and will have to wait for every new one coming up. With my best school friend living abroad, you guys keep me the best, most spooky Halloweeny company that I could ever hope for, so thank you for that. Pumpkin emoji, yours truly, Ye Old Pumpkin.
Aw, thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, always happy to be a ghoul friend in your ear when your local ones are away.
Truly, yes. Well, and if you would like to find even more ghoul friends, you can join us over on our Discord server.
Yes.
That's a really fun place where you can hang out, and we have all kinds of channels to share media you're watching, or what you're working on creatively, or weird facts that you find out, and also to suggest episode topics to us. So if you have something you really want to hear about that we haven't talked about yet, go throw it in Discord, and hopefully we'll get there.
Yes, we love to hear them. We're collecting them.
Yes, we are. And if you are looking for me, you can find me all over the web at Midge Munster.
And you can find me at Penny Snark.
And until next time,
good